and today I'm going to be presenting the time management PowerPoint that we have. This was created by the previous success coach and I, Darnina, and I had created this to really help students kind of get a grasp on time management. So if you do have any further questions or even want the physical PowerPoint, I could send that over. Just send me an email or a Google Voice and I will get that to you. But with being a college student and also just being, a person at home, like, doing family chores or doing personal activities like out with your friends and stuff like that is already hard enough. And you being a student and then now also being a prospective teacher, you do have to start learning how to manage your time efficiently because time is very precious and sometimes time could go by really, really fast. So hopefully this presentation helps and you're able to learn something. So just a little introduction. On the left-hand side is me, and the right side is Darnina. So she is currently a special education teacher. By the time that we did this presentation, she was barely graduating, and she actually graduated at the Angel Stadium, and it was pretty fun. So you can see in the back, you could see the big screen and the ceremony stage. So pretty cool. So the most important question to ask in this very Zoom call, why is time management important? So when you're able to actually manage your time wisely, you could actually increase the effectiveness of your work and you can be able to do more in a either a short amount of time depending on the activity, or you could do a lot with increased quality. So sometimes when people do rush things or we do things closer to the time frame, when you rush, you tend to actually decrease the quality of your work. So when you're able to manage your time wisely, you could actually better your work when you are able to plan it well. So, as a teacher, this is very important to consider just because, when you do make lesson plans, you do have to make sure that you're following a certain time frame. Because if you spend all day trying to do one subject or one lesson, one chapter, you still have to get through the other chapters that your students are going to be falling behind. And once they fall behind, you're also going to fall behind as well. And that could play a role also back at home. So, when you do fall behind on something, you're probably gonna have to spend more time on it when you do get home outside of classroom hours, outside of pay hours. So we just want to make sure that you guys are able to just navigate the field of just learning how to manage your time and even just asking for help. Sometimes you might not know everything. So even having those veteran teachers and those mentors that you guys have, just asking them what they do to manage their time. So when do we actually use time management? And that's a good question because whether we realize or not, it's kind of an everyday thing that we're learning how to manage our time. So whether that's through home chores, through social media, because we have to also keep in mind we do take away time from our schedules or add time to our schedules when we go on social media or do, anything of that sort. When you go to work, for those that do go to work or volunteer, you do have to also keep that account that those hours are also being accounted for into your schedule and just even personal and school activities. Everything starts to add up. And now that you think about it, 24 hours in a day, dividing all these different components within your life, how are you managing time wisely? And how are you making sure that you're able to do it all without burning yourself out? So again, you could do all these four things that you see on the actual screen, which is your home chores, your work schedule, your personal and school activities. That all takes into consideration of also how much you can do as a person. So, learning how to manage your time could also eliminate the stressors of your life, of how you manage your time. So, there's a quote right here: time management is a process of organizing and planning how to divide your time between specific activities within your life. So again, since we're in the Zoom era, sometimes it could be a little bit more convenient and it actually does help a lot of the times for doing multiple things. So Zoom and online school could be a little bit beneficial. So if that works for you, great. And if it doesn't, definitely do what's best for you just because everyone does have a different schedule. Everyone does do different things. They have different hats that they wear. They have a lot of responsibilities. So, as college students, as just people in general, you have to just start learning how to prioritize different things in your life to make sure that you don't only just burn out, but that you're able to complete these tasks in at least the most efficient way possible that you can. So, keep that in mind always. And here are some tips to help you kind of stay more organized. So, planning ahead and taking breaks in between is definitely something that I think are the top two, in my opinion. When you learn how to plan ahead, it doesn't have to be years in advance. It doesn't have to even be months in advance. It could literally just be a couple days in advance that you plan ahead. Just because time is constantly changing, things are constantly changing as well. So when you kind of have a little goal plan, it kind of gives you leeway to kind of if something unexpected happens. So let's say that you're supposed to go to work in at 8 o'clock in the morning and you have a flat tire. So do you have a backup plan? Do you know who to call in the situation? Do you have the Uber app already set on your phone? Do you have the contact of your insurance company on there? Like you already have somewhat plans of something happening possibly, and you have a plan B. Again, we don't want to think about those kind of scenarios, but especially when you're teaching, right? So if you have a lesson plan, a beautiful lesson plan set out, and it's only going to take 30 minutes, but imagine there's like an incident within the school and there's maybe a fire emergency, and you didn't plan for it. You definitely didn't know that was going to happen. And just having that backup plan for the next day, like, oh, I kind of know what I'm gonna do tomorrow, so maybe we'll just push in a little bit halftime in the English lesson into the math lesson and do something creative. So again, life is definitely unexpected. I mean, look at COVID, guys. Like, it's very, very unexpected, and sometimes we're not prepared for everything, but just being a little bit more cautious and just having that plan B is very beneficial. And knowing that even if things happen, give yourself some grace, and that's where the second one comes in, taking breaks in between. Make sure you take mental health breaks. Make sure you take those breaks because when you burn out, you can actually get sick. I'm a really big advocate in advocating for your health and your mental health because if you're not well, mentally, sometimes you can get sick from that. And some of us, we might think we're still young. You may be in early 20s, like, yeah, I could do it all. I could go to work, I could do two jobs, I can go to school, I could still work two jobs, still go to school, still be a human, still hang out with my friends. It's already a lot. Like me just explaining that already makes me tired. But some of us do have a lot of responsibilities, but when you do realize how much that can make you stressed and how much, anxiety it could bring, sometimes it'll make you very tired and you could get sick from it. So just to make sure that doesn't happen, because imagine you push yourself to a limit where you never knew before and you're super exhausted, you're super tired, and then you're sick and you have to take the whole day off. Imagine how much that sets you back. I always say to people, I'm like, and if you invest too much in something and you get lost within the process of you doing whether that's work or school, it will set you back in the future. You might not see it now, but eventually it's going to set you back even more than what you were expecting. So you're not a machine. You are definitely, human. That's okay. If mistakes happen along the way, that's okay as long as you learn from them. And knowing that you have that plan ahead, that could help you take breaks in between. And then taking those breaks will ensure that you might not get burnt out. Or if you do get burnt out, it's not as much to the point where you will get sick and maybe even go to the hospital. And we do not want that to happen. So please feel free to not be too hard on yourselves. Just trying your best is a good thing. And learning now when you're in your undergrad is just super important because once you do graduate, you're gonna realize all the hard work, all the stress is not really worth it. Because when you get the degree, it doesn't say that you cried like for 5 classes or you failed a couple classes. I failed a couple math classes in my time, but I ended up graduating with honors. And I did cry for a lot of exams I taken, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And I just want to tell you guys, it's totally okay. There's always a learning opportunity in everything you do. So whether that's getting a setback, whether that's missing a class or anything like that, just make sure to take care of yourself always. And there's a couple more tips to stay organized, and I'll read them right now. But the third one I think I would love to mention is just prioritizing your goals. um, Again, this could fluctuate within certain scenarios, but just having like a kind of a plan ahead of just your goals or what you want to achieve for that day. What are the most important things to keep in consideration for that day or that week? Because just having those priorities really does help you uh, learn how could I say it? You're able to efficiently get things done and you'll feel like you could set back other things. So like if you see that maybe you have to go grocery shopping, that's one of the most important things because you need food, right? Maybe going to the store to buy shoes could wait for another week or so. So something like that could be a example, but making sure that you even don't have to do it alone. Sometimes you can even have the help of a family or friend and they could help you kind of see what's important. If you need to push back a party for a friend, maybe, stuff like that. It's really around your support system and how much they could support you during this time and setting goals. So when you set goals as a student and as a teacher, that could be very good for your students because they're able to see the physical goals that they have. And once people do see the goals that you and the curriculum have in mind, they're gonna know that that's something they do need to learn the next material. So just being clear with that. Setting a time limit does come with planning ahead, so when you're able to set a time limit, at least a rough estimate, it doesn't have to be an exact amount, you don't have to stop at 31 minutes when you put 31 minutes for a lesson plan. Sometimes things can go faster and sometimes they might take a little bit longer just depending on the situation, so keep that in mind when you do curriculum plan when you become a teacher, so, um when you do all these things and do the curriculum, incorporate your home life into the CPTP program and stuff like that, I would suggest that you have a planner of some kind. Some people do use Google Calendar, some people do use Outlook, and some people literally just write on a physical planner. So whatever works best for you is totally okay. And it's kind of giving more of a planned monthly schedule. I like to plan my schedule through actual physical planner because I get to physically see it and I have it with me at all times. And when I do, want to hang out with my friends or my family, I'm like, hey, I can't this day, I can't this time because I have this, and that. And it kind of helps when you have multiple things going on. And sometimes we have a lot of things going on. We're working, going to school, and actually helping with the family, and even actual having great times outside with your friends. So it really just depends on your different situation. You don't have to have a planner, but it really does help. So, how to manage your personal time. So, always do what works best for you. Each individual will have a unique formula for their success. So, this is really true just because everyone does come from different walks of life and things do happen. So, sometimes family emergencies happen. Um, Sometimes things just don't go the way that they're planned, and that's okay. Um, I mentioned earlier that the support system that you have will um, end up helping you a lot. So just make sure to surround yourselves with people that do support you. And if something does happen, you can't hang out with your friends one of these days because you're so busy with school and they understand, that's okay. And that's a good thing because you know that they're there to support you and they do add to helping manage your not only your time, but also your stress and also your support system. So keep that in mind always. So here is just a physical planner of what you could use on a regular day-to-day basis. So actually, it's just almost accurate because it is currently the 20th, which is crazy because I told myself I was going to record all these presentations and post them today. So we're on great timing. So daily planner example. So we have the week of 319 or 325, and we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So sometimes you don't have to be super specific, but again, it kind of helps with making yourself feel organized. And if you do have a lesson plan for a substitute teacher one of these days, they could look at one of these planners like, okay, this is great, great information. They know what to do throughout the class period that they're there for. So you can see here on the left is school, work, and bills. So also keep in consideration of your bills and personal life because again, school and work is important, but you're also human and you do have other responsibilities within your household or within your social circle. So those are also important. It's just a life skill to learn on its own. And even as someone that's 25 years old, I still have a lot to learn within the realm of time management, but you get kind of like the gist of it as the years go by. So please don't feel like you have to master this skill within, after this video, you're gonna be a master at it. You will definitely have a lot of experience as the years go by, and as you continue to do more internships and more volunteer opportunities, you will learn how to better manage your time. So just being in the CPT program is a big accomplishment for you guys because you guys are able to do this because you have essentially another job. When you're in the CP2 program, you are essentially doing another job outside of your school. So kudos to you guys, really. So we'll go to the next step here. So this is the weekly planner. So I think this one you could make through Google Calendar. So on the left-hand side, you have all the time increments and it's in like 45-minute increments. And again, if you feel like you would like to use digital planners or physical planners, do whatever is comfortable for you. Some people do have um, trouble with technology, so sometimes the physical copies are better. And sometimes when you have multiple meetings and multiple jobs, it could be very hard to manage on a physical paper. And you could do through Outlook or through Google Calendar. And it literally gives you reminders either 30 minutes before, or it'll give you reminders of anything that you do put it yourself. So pretty cool how technology could help you so much, even with a simple use of your phone. So time management in the classroom, the do's and don'ts of time management. Especially when you're an educator, it's very important to note that, you know, the more that you leave things not planned and you kind of just free ball it, and sometimes it does happen where you do have to just go with the flow, but it's more easier to manage when you're able to plan ahead and actually use your time wisely because you only have a school year to teach a whole year full of curriculum that are going to help your students succeed for the next grade level. So we just want to make sure that we're actually involving the students when we are planning the lesson, their needs, their interests and stuff like that, because you are teaching the students and they do come from all walks of life. They do come from different skill levels and that kind of stuff. So always take that into consideration. That's something that maybe you think one student knows, maybe the other student might not know. And you might have to clarify and put more time into that lesson in certain points. So keep that in mind. You don't have to always do it alone. Always set timers and reminders, even though you are using technology to help you, that's okay because that's what it's there for, to enhance your life. And you could also use the staff input that you're working with too. So please, please, please don't feel like you have to do everything alone because that will add to the teacher burnout that you'll be experiencing, especially as a first year teacher. They have it the hardest just because it's just the whole world that they're entering into. So as of right now, you guys could definitely use that to your advantage being in the CPT program because you do have a mentor to just really give you that insight of what they do for their classroom and what you don't have to do. Because there's even instances where I had a mentor teacher tell me what I shouldn't do and don't use certain practices that certain teachers use because they will add more time to your curriculum and even behavioral management as well. Because behavioral management, believe it or not, could add more to your time management difficulty. So always keep that in mind. Try your best not to last minute lesson plan. There are many great resources out there for you for this to be prevented. Teachers Pay Teachers is one of them, and there's even just free ones on Google if you just search it up. So feel like it is stressful to make curriculum on your own. Feel free to do that. Definitely encourage that. But if you feel like you cannot, always feel free to do that, or even just looking into your staff and your teachers as well, because they may have awesome curriculum they have for a certain lesson, and they can share it with you. So please try not to spend that much money, and also feel free to just ask for help. That's one of the best ways to really encourage your social skills and also your ability to learn how to manage time with your circle of friends, because sometimes we just cannot do it all alone. And talking about classroom management again, I say this because it's very crucial. When you have bad behavior in the classroom, you're not able to manage time, that does take away time. Even if it's just 5 minutes, it could take away a lot of time from something that you think is very important within your lesson plan. So try your best to really set the boundaries and the rules within the beginning without obviously being too, mean or very authoritative. You could also just be very nice and be very firm and like, hey, I respect you, you respect me. Please feel free to ask any questions if you have any, but this is what I have my expectations here in the classroom. Please follow that and we can have a good time together. And just that alone is going to help you because if you feel like you have to rush things, which goes to the next one, it will end up hurting you in the future. So like I mentioned in the very beginning, imagine you're burning yourself out with all these things you have to do and you're making yourself sick. You're going to end up having to pay something in the future because you're going to either end up losing money when you have to call off of work, or you're going to have to end up losing um your place within class. So you're gonna fall behind in school, you're gonna fall behind in work because you burnt yourself out so much to the point where you got sick. And that's gonna happen the same thing here. If you rush an activity within school, within your lesson plan, someone's bound to get lost within your classroom. And guess what's gonna happen? You have to go back in there in the same lesson again and waste time and even also waste time from your current lesson plan that you're supposed to teach that day because some people just could not get majority of the class probably just couldn't get it and they needed clarification for that. And this could all just be prevented if you just ask for help, honestly. And it could be very hard to lesson plan. That's definitely a whole skill set in its own, but just learning how to manage your time and learning how to ask for those resources that are going to help you effectively get your stuff done is super important. And again, classroom management is super important. Learning how to just getting to know your students is super important. I think that's something that teachers are very good at. They're very good at just getting to know the student because not only are they a student, they're a person too. They're a mini human that, they have feelings, they have a home life, they have a social circle, some have jobs, and some just have a whole bunch of things they have to deal with. Get to know them first because you get to see their interests and also the things that they probably need help on. Always try to help your students excel, and really just try to give them positivity because maybe they're walking to your classroom and that's probably the only positivity they get. Maybe they don't have a support system at home or they're looking up to you as a role model that they want. So always feel free to just really just show empathy to your students because a lot of the times they do look up to teachers as positive role models and they give empathy to you and it'll be very respectful to just give empathy back to them. And the one of the cool things Darnita had mentioned on the top right is respond to students, not their behaviors. So sometimes, young children, adolescents, and even adults, sometimes we are not our behaviors. Sometimes we just act within our emotions. And sometimes that's a skill on its own. Just learning how to manage your emotions is something that, that we're still learning as we're getting older. So when you do see bad behavior, please don't try to think negatively on the student. Sometimes it just could be something that you don't even know that's going on at home or even within their personal life. So be kind always. And when you're able to really connect with the students that way, that's when you start making those memories and those engagement levels that will help you within your classroom management. And it ends up having expectations fluent and consistent throughout the whole year. So three phases of management. So there's classroom management, behavior management, and instructional management. And when we talk about time management, it really does depend on these three components. So when we're able to have students that have consistent behavior management, we have consistent classroom management, and consistent instructional management was when you make curriculum planning and how they deliver the instruction. We're able to really learn how to really solidify our time management skills. So learning how to administer consequences, even promoting the good behavior is something that is a skill set on its own, and just learning how to connect with students could really help with the behavior management aspect of it and the classroom management at all times. Even just if you have all good students, that's good, but you have to learn how to also have routines within the classroom. So, what are students doing every day? What do they know what to do when they enter your classroom? And how are you able to explain the requirements that students need to be successful within the classroom? Because if they're able to manage their time effectively in your classroom, then it makes it a little bit easier for when you have to help manage the time within the curriculum, which falls into instructional management and how you design and deliver the instructions when it's time for you to teach a lesson. So just really depending on the standards and always even just having on the board is really helpful, just so students can see the physical goal set that they have for that day or that curriculum, that lesson plan that day. And overall, when everyone's on the same page, it does make it easier for you and you don't get to be as stressed. Your future is created by what you do today and not tomorrow. So this is really true just because when you do something today, it ends up being the start point for the next day. So again, you could plan all you want. You could do a lot of things that could help make life a little bit easier. But if you're able to have a good skill set of having a series of plans, you'll be able to be okay if something did happen unexpectedly or something happened where you had to step out for a day, or if your student is going through something, at least you have a plan how to help them out. And I wanted to add this slide just because I think it's super important because when we think of time management, sometimes we're like, I want to get all this done today. I want to make sure that everything is done by, a certain time frame, sent to a certain person and in blah blah blah. But effective versus efficient, someone could be very efficient, which you can see on the right side, yeah. The turtle is going, in the right direction, but very slowly, and they're going to get to their destination before the rabbit does, which the rabbit has a 100, miles per hour boat right there, and he's going to the left side and said this will go 100 times faster. But if you're going really fast, but in the wrong direction, you're never going to get the results that you want. So effective is achieving a result in an adequate way, while efficient is accomplishing a result in the best way while saving time and effort. So again, you may have a lot on your plate, but please feel like please feel free not to rush anything. I think you end up it costs you more to rush and reduce the efficiency. Right? You just might as well just go on your own pace, adequate speed and still get to your goal without having to sacrifice the quality of your work or quality of things being done within that day. So yeah, just a little example there, and just keep that in mind when you manage your time at school, work, and personal life. So how can you improve your lesson plan approach? Um, Again, sometimes we do need refreshers, so feel like like it's okay to not remember everything because we're human. We cannot remember every single thing, but that's what the Common Core standards are for. It's a huge list of Common Core standards, a huge list of material that needs to be taught within certain age levels and certain materials. So just try to understand the topic that you're teaching. Try to read books, try to read the website. Everything could be on your fingertips for free when it comes to Common Core standards. And even just looking for those resources that are free. Again, there are paid resources out there that you could utilize, but the free resources are there for you. There's many if you just take a simple Google search or even just asking coworkers for your help. A lot of the times veteran teachers already have curriculum set, like, workshops. They have certain activities that you guys do for students, and they already have the goals and objectives already there for you to utilize. And when we're looking for these resources, just make sure to get them properly checked, properly sorted, just because you do want to teach the right curriculum and make sure that's inclusive as well. You want to make sure that it's also inclusive for those with disabilities and also culturally diverse too, because we want to make sure that we're teaching our students to be well-rounded learners. And just share ideas with each other because maybe something that you find on the internet or find as a resource, you would love to share with other classrooms to learn, and it'll be very, very beneficial to not just your classroom, but to other classrooms around you as well. And as you're doing all this, all the lesson plan, it's good that the students are learning the learning objectives, but try to make those meaningful connections as well during the time that you do teach. Creating those meaningful memories really do stick with the students even after the classroom. So try to make sure to also have fun with what you're doing because school isn't just to learn, sometimes just to grow and even have fun. So just don't forget that in the process. And just really related to real life experience because where are they gonna see this in real life? Are they gonna utilize those skills that you just taught them outside the classroom? Is it gonna help them when they go in the workforce? Is it gonna help them when they go to college? Or even just back at home? So whatever you do within the classroom, your curriculum, you have a free space to kind of do what you think is best for the students and what could benefit them both in and outside of the classroom. So 3 simple steps to developing time management. So really just try to get a rough estimate of time frames and identify when you're supposed to do certain curriculum lessons, the times that you expect to finish those lessons, and how do you plan on um, sharing that with the class. And kind of just estimate what should be done, and if there is free time or there's a decrease in time and you have to postpone something, what kind of plan do you have? What kind of plans do you have to help those students that are struggling or help, give time to those that do get the material? How are you gonna incorporate those students to help you with time management? So again, the classroom could also help you as well with that kind of stuff. So if you see students that are struggling and see students that are excelling in their work and they're going, super, super fast and get it, how could you utilize the students to help each other? Because also, you're a teacher, but students also learn from each other as well. And as you continue to make lesson plans, just prioritize really what needs to be done first and what plans are more important than the others. So what plans can be pushed back and what plans could be pushed forward when you do plan these curriculum lessons. And the amazing Darnina also put her social media pages here. So if you feel free to also follow her and see what she's up to. Again, she's a special education teacher in a middle school classroom. So she's been super busy and you'll still see her around here and there. But um, because of her, we did create this project together. And hopefully we were able to help you understand a little bit better what time management is and what you could better do to prepare for it. And always just keep a note, after hearing this. Definitely feel like, ask as many questions, even if it's through email, through Google Voice. I am here for you. I know things are gonna get better. I know that this whole transition of the Zoom world kind of changed the world in a drastic way. So please feel free to be gracious with yourself and know that mistakes are gonna happen. You're never gonna be perfect with time management. You might still procrastinate after this presentation, but as long as you learn from it and you get to kind of take it along with you as during your undergrad and during your teaching journey, just learning how to utilize those resources that you have around you. And we're always here to help. Even when you do leave the program, I'm always here to help as well. So you guys will do great. And again, I appreciate you for stopping by and listening to this presentation. Make sure to document that you listen to this presentation for the duration of the video and just put success coach workshop. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at deislas@cerritos.edu. And yeah, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day.